Okay, this is English 373, week 7, part 1. Welcome back. I was talking. This is sort of a section about Coriolanus on like class, meaning on like class, not school, not class in the sense of school, but class in the sense of how much money do you make, and the kind of the class war, which is this sort of battle to control wealth, and how many people are poor and how many people are rich and that kind of thing. I have a video, so I'll just put it after this one. But I wanted to find a video, and I found one that I really liked, but it's like 11 years old, and I think the situation's gotten a lot worse in the last 11 years. It's actually gotten a lot worse in the last 1 year, but they're not going to have a video about that yet. But anyway, it's on there, so that's part of the playlist here. So you'll see a video about wealth inequality come up. It's useful because it describes the world you're living in, but also helps you understand the conflict in Coriolanus. And I mean, obviously, rich people make more money than you, but it's shocking to discover how much more. Like, you think it's a lot more, but it's a lot more. Like, it's ludicrously more. Um, yeah. And you'll see. I mean, I don't remember all the statistics, and you'll see it in the video. But it's one of these things, like the top 1% of human beings control 50% of the world's wealth. It's like that kind of stuff, right? So that you have like 8 guys who have more money than 50% of the global population. It's like that kind of thing. I mean, I find the numbers are. I'm not really a numbers guy, and I find it kind of hard to wrap my mind around numbers like that. The videos help. I really like this older video better, but I think it's just too out of date to show. Um, okay, so back to Coriolanus. So Coriolanus Coriolanus, um, right? He's this very successful soldier, and then his mother wants him to be a politician, so he heads into politics, which is something he's not suited for. Here's an important lesson for you: being good at one thing doesn't mean you'd be good at something else. In movies, when someone's smart, they're like smart at everything. Like they can win chess games against 11 people at once, and they know all the facts, and they know how to do anything. And in real life, intelligence is insanely specialized. Like literally today, people are like, "Oh, Jeff's a professor. Jeff's a smart guy," and my friend's really into playing trivia. So he sent me he got a trivia question about Shakespeare. He was like, "I'm going to send this to my friend Jeff because Jeff's a Shakespeare guy," and he sent it to me, and it was like the trivia question was like, "What's the name of the dog owned by the Shakespeare one of Shakespeare's most famous clowns, a Shakespearean clown named Launce?" And like I have devoted the last 4 years of my life studying Shakespeare, and I had absolutely no fucking idea because Shakespeare wrote like 39 plays. Um, and I studied 28 of them. And honestly, that was too much. Like, I think Shakespeare has 39 plays. I read 28. I would say only 20 of them were any good. Maybe even like 18. And the 18 that were good are the greatest works of art in world history. But like there were definitely some of Shakespeare's plays that I kind of regretted reading, and I was like, this was a boring waste of time. And then there were 11 plays that I was just like, I'm not even going to read those because they look hella dumb. So like only like half of what Shakespeare wrote is when you talk about Shakespeare as the greatest writer on earth, I'm referring to like maybe half of what Shakespeare wrote. Is what you when you say Shakespeare's the greatest writer on earth, you're referring to like half of what he wrote. The second half is like okay, it's interesting. Um, there are some gems in the second half. I think Coriolanus is actually probably in Shakespeare's second half plays, but I actually think it's secretly awesome. Um, but like I don't know, I just didn't read it and I didn't know the answer. So anyway, all right, I got it. Okay, so Coriolanus. My point is that you'd think I, a Shakespeare guy, would be able to answer a Shakespeare trivia question, and I am not good at trivia. I did not know the name of the dog of the clown from the play Two Gentlemen of Verona because I didn't really read that play. I think I read it when I was a teenager, but I don't remember that play. I don't remember. I couldn't tell you fucking anything about it. Um, so in the same way that I'm smart, but in a very specialized way. Coriolanus is brilliant, but in a very specialized arena, which is the battlefield. And when he exits the battlefield, he's not so smart anymore. He has a lot of trouble, particularly because he's supposed to ask for votes and listen from common everyday people, and he's supposed to listen to common everyday people, and he fucking hates common everyday people. And so of and the two popular senators, Brutus and Sicinius, they don't like Coriolanus because they feel like if Coriolanus becomes a politician, Their whole job is to represent like the public. And if Coriolanus becomes a politician, he's going to be against the public. And so they want to take him down. So basically, the crowd, again, the fickle change. Coriolanus says the crowd is fickle. They're constantly changing their mind. He's kind of right because he goes out there. They don't like him, and then he goes out there and he convinces them to like him and vote for him. And then as soon as he walks away, Brutus and Sicinius are like, "Don't vote for that guy. He hates you." And they're like, "Yeah, he does hate us." So they just like in the space of like 3 hours, they're like, "We don't like this guy. Hey, we really like this guy. Hey, we hate this guy. Let's execute him." Like they go hard. Um, so they get very they don't like him anymore because the Brutus and Sicinius are like, if this guy has always hated you, this guy that you're about to vote for, and they say if he gets this position, he's going to ruin your lives. And then they say if he hates the people, he's a traitor to our country. Traitors have to be executed. It gets out of hand real fast. It escalates quickly, and he's furious with them now. Um, he says. The mutable rank-scented meanie. Mutable means changeable. Rank-scented means they smell bad. This is a very common thing to say of poor people. Actually, it's interesting. It's a very common Shakespearean thing to say of poor people, that they smell bad, particularly that they have bad breath. Because of the food that poor people were allowed to eat. It's a lot of onions and garlic and things. And so you often hear in Shakespeare poor people referred to as like garlic eaters or whatever, and the breath of them is terrible. Interestingly, one of the best movies I've ever seen about wealth inequality also has a major moment in it in which poor people are described as smelling terrible, and never being able to get rid of that smell. And that is the movie Parasite, which won Best Picture last year. Highly recommend that movie. Actually, there's a paper. Please write a paper on Coriolanus and Parasite. I will fucking love it. I would really enjoy the shit out of that. It's a really good movie. Um, all right, cool. This is going really well. So Coriolanus says, the mutable rank-scented meanie, let them regard me, as I do not flatter, and therein behold themselves. I say again, in soothing them, we nourish gainst our senate the cockle of rebellion, insolence, sedition, which we ourselves have plowed for, sowed, and scattered by mingling us with them, the honored number, who lack not virtue, no, nor power, but that which they have given to beggars. So he says, if we are nice to these poor people, we're basically begging them to rebel against us and take over, right? Like if we give poor people representation in government, it's just one step away from them taking over and ruining everything, and they're all idiots. He really hates them. Um, it's rebellion, insolence, sedition, and he says, and it's going to be our fault when they do. He says because if we support the poor, they're going to rebel against us, and it'll be our fault for being nice to them by being like, oh, your opinion matters and your vote matters and we care what you think and we're here to serve you. He thinks that kind of language. Because again, remember, this is a society that had survived for a long time with kings and kings were just like, I'm doing this. Fuck all everybody. I know what's right. We're doing my thing. I don't care what you think. But they're trying an experiment in Rome at this time, which is democracy, which is maybe instead of just doing what one dude thinks, you should find out what most people think and do that. Um, and Coriolanus thinks it's a disaster. And he's mingling us with them is weakening us, is his argument. And Brutus, by the way, Brutus has the same name as a famous character from Julius Caesar who stabs Julius Caesar, which also takes place in the ancient world. Ancient Roman world. Please don't. Totally different guy. No relation. A lot of people named Brutus back then. And he says, you speak of the people as if you were a god to punish, not a man of their infirmity. And this is the claim that's going to haunt the rest of the play, which is that Coriolanus is full of himself. That you don't talk like a person, you talk like you're a god, and your job is to punish people. But you are a person. We're all the same, Brutus and Sicinius say. All right, I'll pick it up in the next video.